Hello, this is my message for Sunday, December 10th, 2023 at Antioch United Methodist Church. If you're ever anywhere near Springfield, Missouri, please join us on Sunday morning at 8:30 or 11 a.m. in person. I promise you, you will be warmly welcomed and you will be inspired by the music and the message. If you can't make it in person because you're sneezing or coughing or working or out of town, join us live on Facebook at facebook.com/Antioch United Methodist Church, all one word, lowercase, no space. In case no one told you lately, you're doing an awesome job keeping it together during the hard times. God is proud of you. If nobody else tells you these days that they're proud of you, God is proud of you. And you never go through hard times alone. You always have God right there with you. You have nothing to worry about. God is taking care of things. God stepped into world history at the birth of Jesus. And God stepped into your world when you began your relationship with God. God actually goes before us to help us. For example, we all know about the Hamas attack upon Israel about 2 months ago and the war that is happening as we speak. But this isn't the first time that invaders have tried to invade Israel and the land of Judea to destroy Israel. Satan has been trying for centuries to destroy the Jewish people, but never succeeded. You've heard of biblical villains like the Pharaoh of Egypt, King Nebuchadnezzar, King Herod. Well, after Nebuchadnezzar, but before King Herod, there was also Antiochus Epiphanes. He was a Greek king in Syria who wanted to reunite the broken Greek Empire. And he wanted the whole world to worship Zeus. I kid you not. Now, most nations at that time went along with that, except Israel. And that made Antiochus very angry. So, Antiochus invaded Jerusalem and desecrated the temple. He offered the sacrifice of a pig on the altar for Zeus. Anyone in Jerusalem at that time who was practicing any form of Jewish faith and religion was sentenced to death. So Hamas is not the first group that has wanted to destroy Israel. Soon the Jewish people at that time began to compromise, leaving their faith in the God of Israel behind and embracing Greek culture and Greek ways. Except for one family of Jews, known as the Maccabees. You see, if the devil could erase the Jews and the Jewish faith through Antiochus, then there would be no Old Testament, no Israel, which means no Mary, no Joseph, no Jesus, and no salvation offered to all through Jesus' death and resurrection. That was the enemy's plan. But God also had a plan. God inspired this family called the Maccabees to push back and fight back against the army of Antiochus. This is known as the Maccabean Rebellion. It was like the Star Wars Rebel Alliance versus the evil empire, except for real. It actually happened. It's history. Antiochus sent a number of generals to the land of Israel, Judea, but they were all defeated. Then Antiochus himself traveled to Israel to destroy the Jewish people once and for all. According to one historian, while Antiochus was traveling, he was struck and troubled with a perpetual delirium of some sort, imagining that specters, terrifying spirits, were attacking him and accusing him. And this mental torment drove him literally insane. And soon after, in 164 BC, Antiochus died. And the Jewish people cleaned up the temple, and they restored Jerusalem, and they restored worship in the temple again. Satan loses, God wins. Say it with me. Satan loses, God wins. Satan loses, Israel wins. And since the menorah had been stolen, the Maccabees made a new one, but they had only enough oil to light for one day. The miracle of Hanukkah is that the menorah burned for 8 days, even though it had only 1 day's worth of oil. How about that? And of course, Hanukkah is happening right now. See, God knew that Satan was trying to destroy Israel through Antiochus. But Israel was not and will not be defeated. And Jesus was not defeated. And you will not be defeated if you do what God says to do. Because there is a spiritual battle going on for all of us. The enemy is attacking all of us with sadness and depression and disappointment and discouragements and setbacks. For example, in 1 Kings 19, Elijah was victorious against the false prophets of Baal. But the evil queen Jezebel was after him, and Elijah became discouraged and burned out. In 1 Kings 19:4, it says that he prayed that he might die. "I've had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." He looked around, and there by his head was some bread baked over hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and then lay down again. When you feel sad or discouraged or hopeless, never underestimate the power of a simple meal and a nap. Honestly, because in 1 Kings 19:8, it says that he got up and ate and drank, and strengthened by that food, Elijah traveled 40 days and 40 nights. Now, all his problems were not solved, but he was strengthened. And God wants you to take care of yourself, to strengthen yourself. Self-care, self-ministry, doing what's best for yourself. The attacks upon Israel throughout history were actually foretold in the Bible. In Revelation 12, verses 1 through 11, it says, "A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet." I used to think that was the Virgin Mary. But then it says, "and a crown of 12 stars on her head." The 12 stars refer to the 12 tribes of Israel. She is Israel. She was pregnant and cried out in pain, and she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his heads. These refer to the many world empires. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. That refers not to literal stars, but to a third of the angels that rebelled against God with Lucifer. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. Guess who the child is? Not Zeus, Jesus. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne, which foretold the resurrection of Jesus and his ascension. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down. That ancient serpent, called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray, he was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Now, verse 11 is the key when it comes to winning the battle over burnout with self-care. It says they triumphed over him, they being the people of God, triumphed over the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. The blood of the Lamb saves us, and also the word of their testimony. Your testimony and your words are powerful, as I said before. You can't have a positive life if you're talking negative. You can't have a happy life if you're always talking sad, talking discouraged, talking, it's not going to work out. I don't know. I doubt it will work out. No, instead say, this is a great day. This is a blessed day. I can do all the things that I have to do through Christ, who does what? Gives me strength. If you have setbacks or problems this month, you can say, oh well, at least, and name 3 things about today, or name 3 things about your life overall that make your life happy and wonderful. You can say, oh well, at least I can pay my bills, I have a nice home, and it's almost Christmas. When you're thinking about a problem, ask yourself, is there something I can do about it? If you can, then do it. Change your diet, stop a bad habit, change your mindset, talk to somebody, do what you can. But if there is nothing you can do about a problem, then say, Lord, I give it to you. It's in your hands. Say it with me. Lord, I give it to you. It's in your hands. And then pour yourself a cup of coffee and thank him that he's taking care of things. That's you exercising faith, that he's taking care of things. You can't do the impossible, what's beyond your ability. That's God's job. You can do what is possible, what is in your ability. That's your job. You do what you can and leave the rest to God. Last Sunday was my youngest daughter's 18th birthday, last Wednesday, rather. When my wife was pregnant, her doctor had said that our oldest child, who was 5, could not be in the delivery room. Well, okay, we made arrangements for a neighbor friend to watch my oldest daughter when the day came. Except when that day came, that neighbor friend was unavailable. Uh-oh, now what? Well, we went to the hospital, and when the time for delivery came, which was 9 hours later, my wife's doctor was no longer on duty. She had left. We got the on-call doctor who said, I don't mind if your oldest daughter is in the room during delivery. Whew. Small thing in life, but at the time, we weren't sure what we were going to do with our oldest daughter when our newest daughter was being born. Does that make sense? The point is, what a waste. What a waste it would have been to have worried about that the whole 9 hours before delivery. So you see, you can either go through December the hard way, the stressful way, stressing yourself out about everything, focusing on what's not right about your life. Or you can rest your mind, enjoy Christmas parties, eat the food, and know that you have victory by the blood of the Lamb and by your words, the word of your testimony. Romans 5, verse 1 in the Passion Translation. It says, our faith in Jesus transfers God's righteousness to us, and he now declares us flawless in his eyes. This means that we can now enjoy true and lasting peace with God, all because of what our Lord Jesus has done for us. And when you're tempted to worry and lose your peace, ask yourself, who is bigger, you or God? Who is bigger, Antiochus or God? It's God. Who is bigger, your problems altogether or God? The answer is God. Enough said. Thank you for watching this. If you enjoyed this, please give a like to this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next week, either Thursday or Friday, to give you the pre-recorded version of my next Sunday's message. Thanks again for watching, and God bless.